Have you ever asked yourself why good people suffer? This question, as ancient as humanity itself, is explored in depth in one of the oldest poetic dramas of our recorded history, the Book of Job. This profound text, nestled within the pages of the Bible, tells the story of Job, a man who was both prosperous and pious. His life was one of abundance, marked by wealth, a large family, and a deep, unwavering faith in God. Yet, his comfortable existence was shattered in an instant, plunging him into a world of suffering and loss. The catalyst for Job's sudden misfortune, a challenge between God and Satan. In this cosmic wager, Satan, the adversary, bet that Job would renounce his faith if his blessings were stripped away. God, confident in Job's devotion, allowed this experiment in faith and endurance to commence. And so, our protagonist's life was turned upside down. His wealth disappeared, his children were tragically taken away, and he himself was afflicted with painful sores that covered his body. Yet, throughout this ordeal, Job maintained his faith, his integrity, and his belief in God's justice. The Book of Job tackles the question of why the righteous suffer, a topic that continues to perplex us even today. It explores the concept of suffering not as a punishment for sin, but as a test of faith. It grapples with the notion of human suffering in a world governed by a just and loving God. As we delve into this story, we will try to unravel the mystery of Job's suffering. We'll explore the dialogues between Job and his friends, delve into his lamentations and God's eventual response, and finally, witness Job's restoration and the grand conclusion of this epic tale. So, brace yourself for a journey into the heart of one of life's most perplexing questions. Why do good people suffer? And perhaps like Job, we may find answers not in the why, but in the how. How we endure, how we maintain faith, and how we emerge from suffering stronger and wiser. As we delve into this story, we will try to unravel the mystery of Job's suffering. The life of Job takes a drastic turn as he finds himself in the midst of inexplicable calamities. It's a series of unfortunate events that would test the mettle of any man, let alone one as devout as Job. His world seems to crumble around him, as if a cosmic storm has singled him out for its destructive fury. First, in rapid succession, Job loses all of his wealth. His oxen and donkeys are stolen by marauding Sabaeans, his sheep and shepherds are consumed by divine fire, and his camels are taken away by the Chaldeans. Each loss is a crushing blow, eroding the material prosperity that once defined his life. But the disaster doesn't stop there. In an event that shakes Job to his core, a mighty wind collapses his eldest son's house, taking the lives of all his children who were feasting within. Job, once a proud father, is now bereft of his beloved offspring. The final blow comes when Job himself is afflicted with painful, unsightly sores from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. His physical health, the last bastion of his personal well-being, is compromised, leaving him in a state of utter misery. Yet, in the face of these catastrophes, Job's response is one of remarkable patience and faith. He tears his robe, shaves his head in mourning, but does not curse God. Instead, he utters the now famous words, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." His wife, seeing his suffering, urges him to curse God and die. But Job rebukes her, maintaining his integrity and refusing to blame his creator for his misfortunes. He clings to his faith, weathering the storm with an unyielding spirit. Despite his immense suffering, Job maintains his integrity, but his ordeal is far from over. Job's friends arrive, and their comfort turns into a heated debate. This is where we encounter three significant figures in Job's life: Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. These men, hearing of Job's distress, come with the noble intention of offering comfort and counsel to their beleaguered friend. Yet, as they sit with Job in his suffering, their comforting words take a different turn. The discourse begins to transform into a series of accusations, each friend suggesting that Job's suffering must be due to some hidden sin. Eliphaz, the oldest and perhaps the most gentle among them, suggests that Job's misfortune is a divine punishment for sin. Bildad, more direct, asserts that God would never pervert justice, implying that Job is indeed guilty. Zophar, the youngest, is also the harshest, insisting that Job's punishment is less than he deserves. In the midst of these accusations, Job stands firm in his defense. He insists on his innocence, firmly refuting their claims of hidden sin. His friends' words, meant to be a balm, become a source of further anguish for Job, yet he remains steadfast. His replies to his friends are passionate, emotive, full of despair, but also resolute in maintaining his integrity. He acknowledges his suffering, yet refuses to concede to their insinuations of guilt. This discourse between Job and his friends is a profound exploration of human suffering and the search for its meaning. It brings to the fore questions about divine justice, the nature of sin, and the relationship between suffering and guilt. The friends, with their simplistic view of retribution theology, fail to grasp the complexity of Job's situation. Their well-intended comfort becomes a trial of its own for Job, yet his determination to defend his integrity remains unshaken. Job's discourse with his friends reveals a man grappling with despair yet determined to defend his integrity. As we move forward, we'll delve deeper into Job's lament and God's response, illuminating further this profound exploration of human suffering and divine righteousness. Scene script: Job laments his state and calls for an audience with God. In the depth of his suffering, Job cries out, yearning for an opportunity to present his case before the Almighty. His anguish is palpable, his words a poignant testament to human desperation. He laments his misfortune, his voice echoing in the vastness of his loneliness. His sorrow is a stark contrast to his previous prosperity, and he longs for an explanation, a reason behind his plight. Job in his lament does not simply accept his suffering. He challenges it, questions it. He yearns for a direct conversation with God, a chance to plead his case, to argue his innocence, to demand an understanding of his undeserved suffering. He seeks not just solace but answers. And then, in the midst of Job's sorrow and confusion, God responds, but not with the answers Job seeks. Instead, God speaks from within a whirlwind, a powerful symbol of his divine authority and majesty. He does not provide a neat explanation for Job's suffering, nor does he offer an apology. Rather, God presents Job with a grand tour of the universe's complexity, its unfathomable intricacies and wonders. God's response is a profound reminder of our limited human perspective. He speaks of the mysteries of the universe, of the wonders of creation that go far beyond human comprehension. He talks about the morning stars singing together, of the boundaries of the sea, of the journey of the dawn. He speaks of the storehouses of snow and hail, of the constellations in their seasons. His words paint a vivid picture of a world filled with marvels far beyond human understanding. In the face of such vastness, Job's personal suffering, while deeply painful, is put into a broader perspective. Job is confronted with the vastness of God's wisdom and power, far beyond human understanding. It's a humbling moment, a stark reminder of our small place in the grand scheme of things, and a call to trust in God's wisdom, even when we cannot fully comprehend it. From the depths of despair, Job emerges restored and enlightened. A humbling response from Job follows God's profound discourse. Stripped of his pride, Job acknowledges his ignorance, admitting that he has spoken of things far too wonderful for him to understand. He repents in dust and ashes, demonstrating a deep humility before the divine. This is a transformative moment for Job, a turning point where he truly recognizes the vastness of God's wisdom and power. God, in turn, rebukes Job's friends for not speaking of him what is right, as Job has. They are instructed to offer a burnt offering, and Job, in a remarkable display of forgiveness and intercession, prays for them. It is here that we see the restoration of Job commencing, a process that is both spiritual and material. God restores Job's fortunes, giving him twice as much as he had before. He receives 7 sons and 3 daughters, the most beautiful women in all the land. His latter days are more blessed than his beginning, and he lives a long and fulfilled life. This restoration of Job's prosperity, however, is not the grand conclusion of the book. The true conclusion lies in the profound wisdom that emerges from Job's suffering. The book of Job does not offer a simple answer to the problem of suffering. Instead, it invites us to trust in God's unfathomable wisdom, to acknowledge that there are mysteries in life that are beyond our understanding. Job's story is not about why good people suffer, but about maintaining faith and integrity in the face of suffering. It's about the humility that comes from recognizing our limitations and the wisdom that comes from acknowledging the divine mystery. In the face of suffering, Job's story urges us to trust in the incomprehensible wisdom of God.